right, I don't know if some of you are wondering what happened with Nate, Maverick, and Bowen. The last time we read, we left off where Maverick was trying to befriend Nate again. They had a project where they had to get to know each other. And Maverick had went over to Nate's house, and he realized that Nate's mom was his stepmom, kind of questioned him about it. And last we heard from Bowen, Bowen was denying some of the things that Maverick had saw with his dad. So let's continue on. We only have like 5 more chapters left. Shattering the Star. That was when Jamie jumped out of her seat and said, "Shut up, Bowen. You're drooling, you evil gorilla." His friends started to make their usual ooh sounds. In response, she spun around, pointed her finger at each of them in one sweeping motion and said, "You too. You're all too immature to live. I swear, if Bowen didn't tell you to breathe, you'd probably all suffocate." Sadly, he placed his hands on his lap and Mini Elf Maverick collapsed in a heap. I knew how both of them felt. Mr. Curtin asked Jamie, "What has gotten into you? My friend here is just trying to put on a show for you all. Why on earth would you suddenly jump up and ruin it?" He looked like he might cry. This was definitely the most pathetic English class ever, and that included the time I glued the captain to my finger. Plus, that other time in 2nd grade when that one girl had wet her pants at story time and then tried to pretend a puddle of apple juice had mysteriously appeared all around her. Her family had moved out of town within a month. Coincidence? I think not. Anyway, Jamie laughed. That was never a good sign. "I didn't ruin your class, Bowen did." "How did you not hear him? Every kid in here did. He was making fun of me underneath his breath for the last 5 minutes while you were checking your email." Oswaldo gave Mr. Kurt an injured look, and Mr. Kurt shrugged at him. Then Mr. Kurt said, "Whatever you heard, young lady, I didn't notice any disturbance until you stood up and stopped the show. You will write my friend here an apology letter by tomorrow." "But Bowen, is that understood?" "But," I said, "is that understood?" Jamie nodded. Wow, she had gotten Mr. Kurt so mad he had forgotten to be a hippie. Dude. Right after class, Jamie and Bowen almost started throwing punches in the hallway. I pushed my way to them, grabbed Jamie's shoulder, and pulled her aside. "Jamie," I said, "I thought you said not to pick fights with Bowen." "Oh," Bowen said loudly enough for everyone around to hear. "Looks like fairy tales do come true. Is little Mavie going to stand up for his supersized girlfriend?" "I told you not to fight with Bowen," Jamie said. "I didn't say I wasn't allowed to kick his butt." "Oh, she's feisty too. Is that how you like your women, Maverick? Big and spicy?" Jamie turned away from me and raised a fist. I reached up, grabbed her arm, and said, "No, this is what he wants." "Hey, it's Maverick, the elf," Jamie said. "Come on, Maverick, I just want to hit him once." "Kissy, kissy, Jamie. I mean, twice. Kissy, kissy, tiny Mavie." "Well, you can't." "Why not?" "Because I'm not going to hit him first." Some random 8th grade teacher arrived a few seconds later. But by the end of the day, it was arranged. Bowen and I would meet at a park off school property. There wasn't going to be any backing down this time. The bee wasn't going to show up. I felt like the whole year had been leading to this point. Actually, I felt like we'd been heading for this fight since the day we rolled around next to the dumpster in 3rd grade. It seemed as though everybody in the entire 6th grade showed up for the fight. I got there a little late, actually, because I had stopped in the school bathroom for a few moments after the bell rang, just to be alone. Well, that and to have a panic attack. I locked myself into the far corner of the bathroom stall, which had a window ledge running all along one side, and hoisted myself up into the ledge so my feet were dangling down. Then I tried to take deep breaths. It was bad enough that Bowen was going to pummel me, but if I fainted at his feet before the fight even started, But if I fainted at his feet before the fight even started, I would become legendary. Middle school poets would sing for it for decades to come. I needed to concentrate on something that would calm me down. I rubbed my hands frantically on the fronts of my pant legs because my palms were dripping with sweat. That was when I found my dad's star and got an idea. I slid off the ledge, took the star out of my pocket carefully because it slipped out of my hand, and into the toilet. It would be tragic. I lifted up the white hoodie I was wearing and carefully pinned the star onto the left front of my t-shirt right over my heart. Then I pulled the sweatshirt back down. I thought, calm down. Dad was a hero. You are his son. You can do this. Another part of me was murmuring very quietly, wait, Dad died being a hero. What is confronting again? But I tried really hard to ignore it as I strode manfully out of the stall, washed and dried my hands, and headed out to the park. The crowd parted for me as though I could feel my force field of doom. There was whispers all around me, and I might have detected a few snickers. For all I knew, some people might have been placing bets, although probably the odds weren't running in my favor. I headed to the mulch-covered area between the picnic and the swing sets, where Bowen was standing, surrounded by a sea of black jackets. Nate was there. I caught his eye and then looked away. Jamie was there too. Apparently she had cooled off since the scene in the hall because she grabbed my sleeve and said, "You don't have to do this, Maverick. It's stupid. It doesn't prove anything. Everybody knows Bowen's a jerk." I stopped and looked up at her for a minute. She was breathing hard and fast, and I realized that she was the only kid on the whole playground who looked scared for me. Then she said, "Besides, he's 3 times your size. Why should you—" But I had already pushed past her. In the end, it was always about the little guy. It's always about how the little guy is just supposed to step aside and let things happen without fighting back. Forget that. "Let's go, Bowen." It had sounded a lot tougher in my head. I was rather surprised to see that Bowen didn't have his usual smirk going. "Are you totally sure you want to do this, Maverick? We're off school grounds. Nobody's going to stop this if it starts." I forced myself to laugh. "Oh, sure," I said. "You were brave enough when you were making fun of the girl today. But now that it's a fighting time, you're hoping I chicken out for you? Well, that's not going to happen, so come on." "You come on," he snapped. "Unlike you," I said, "I don't start fights. I finish them." I thought that sounded pretty cool for a guy who was practically shaking. Then Bowen said something else. I don't remember. And then I said something lame back, and each of us got shoved from behind the crowd. When we banged into each other, I put my fist, and so did he. It was on. I knew Bowen had a few advantages over me, namely his height, his reach, his athletic skill, his speed, and crowd support. So I figured my only chance was the element of surprise. I screamed from the bottom of my lungs and started swinging both fists as fast and as hard as I could. Bowen stepped back. I kept swinging, and Bowen kept stepping back until his back hit the wall of the crowd, and they pushed him towards me again. He punched me extremely hard once, dead on in the left side of the chest. I felt a crack and a slicing stab of pain. I stopped swinging, started to reach for my chest with one hand, and bent forward as I did. Bowen swung his knee up into the same spot on my chest. The impact jerked me fully upright, and time seemed to stop for a moment as I looked down at myself. The entire left side of my sweatshirt was already soaked with blood. I looked at Bowen. He looked at me. Everybody else suddenly started running in all different directions, except for one person, Jamie. "Bowen," she said, "get your phone." As the spell broke and Bowen sprinted over where his book bag was laying on the ground, Jamie said, "Maverick, come here, come sit at the picnic table. Can you do that?" Apparently I could. "Now, I'm going to take off your hoodie, is that okay? And your shirt too." This was getting weird, but I must have nodded or something because suddenly my arms were up in the air and Jamie was very gently pulling at my sweatshirt over my head. Then she tried to tug on my shirt and I almost passed out from a new wave of pain. "Bowen," she said, "give me your phone. Mav, we need to take you to the emergency room. I'm calling 911. "No," I said, "no ambulance." I was pretty sure ambulance rides were pretty expensive, and I didn't think my mom and I have health insurance. "Then we have to call someone, Maverick. Who can we call? You need to tell me. Please give me a number." I looked down at my chest. It was pretty gruesome. The star had broken and then cut a deep slice several inches long just below my collarbone. Half the star was still stuck into my chest by the pain, but the shirt was still pinned to the star too, which was why it had hurt me so much when Jamie pulled on it. I felt woozy. The next thing I knew, I was lying on the bench on my back. Jamie just kept saying, "I need a number, Maverick. Come on, give me a number." I didn't know what to do. Aunt Kat had said she can lose her job if she gets another distress call from me. And I was pretty sure this was qualifying as one of those. But there was no way my mom would be able to come get me because she didn't have a car. My throat burned as I said, "I don't have anyone to call." That was when Bowen grabbed his phone out of Jamie's hand and started dialing. "Who are you calling?" she asked. "My dad. He's a cop." "He's a cop." "Now, shut up." "But he'll kill you," I managed to croak. "I know, but this is my fault." And, "Hello, may I speak with Lieutenant Strack? This is his son. It's an emergency." All right, that is where we're ending. We have only like 4 more chapters to go. What I would like you to do is on Google Classroom, make a prediction of what you think is going to happen next.